This is a special Black History Month presentation from FOX54 News, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Keneisha Deas.
And I'm Mo Carter. Welcome to our Black History in the Valley special on Fox 54.
That's right, Mo. In the next half hour, we take you on a journey throughout the Tennessee Valley, sharing stories of both courage and triumph.
Now, the year is 2024, and of course, it marks 60 years since the passage of the Civil Rights Act and 70 years since the unanimous ruling of Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yes, and that brings us to the Rocket City. Huntsville became the epicenter for integration within public schools in the state of Alabama. And tonight, we hear from pioneers of desegregation and education, helping us narrate the past, present, and future. The Montgomery bus boycott. Bloody Sunday in Selma.
1963. A bomb went off in this church.
16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham. Most of us know about these monumental moments in Alabama that sparked a wave of change. Right here, though, in the Rocket City.
We opened doors back in '63.
Was a movement that would shake up segregation in education.
And I think the repercussions will be felt for a long time, for generations.
On this day, I sat down with someone special, which wasn't the perfect day to be out, but it was to be in, because from the cloud of darkness illuminates the name
Sonny Hereford.
And the fourth.
I am the fourth, that's correct.
Wow, there's a lot of power behind that name, a lot of history behind that name.
Hereford's name emblazoned on every bit of this school building. Sonny Hereford IV is the son of Sonny Hereford III.
Everyone in my family is extremely proud of what he did to make this happen.
We go back to 1963.
I had just turned 6 years old. I turned 6 on August 30th, and I was starting school September 9th. When we first started the lawsuit to integrate the schools, there were, I believe, 27 families that said, black families that said they wanted their children to help to integrate the schools.
But threats and intimidation dwindled that number to 4 to integrate what was then Fifth Avenue School.
September 3rd should have been the day, but then on September 6th, Governor Wallace, the Friday, he actually sent his state troopers to make sure the school stayed closed. And nobody went into those 4 schools, black or white. So he just kept all 4 schools closed for that entire week. And then the schools he relented, and the schools opened on Monday, September 9th.
Fifth Avenue School is now defunct, and the street name Fifth Avenue is now Governor's Drive. Just 3 miles north of us is our Fox 54 station. One of our show producers, Kai Harrell,
Can you hear me?
is also connected to history.
I can hear and see. First question I want to ask you is just your experience with integration.
Well, it's interesting. I definitely could not say that it was a smooth process.
Her great aunt, Phyllis Craig Taylor, a student who struggled for equal opportunity in education, is now a professor and former dean at the School of Law at the historically black college and university, North Carolina Central University. Craig Taylor is from Choctaw County and was integrating Butler Elementary School.
By the time I had reached the 3rd grade in our county, they decided to implement a program that was called Freedom of Choice. Your parents could opt for you to go into what had historically been the all-white schools.
Craig Taylor had a fierce fighter for equality and education in her corner.
Growing up in the family, I know the iconic story of the cigar box now. So if you could touch on that story for me.
Thelma Craig, my mother was concerned that I was upset, every day coming home and explaining to her that they were throwing things. But she told me to put that cigar box on top of my books. And that my job was every day to pick up as many of the items that I could pick up that were thrown at me. And it was going to be evidence. And eventually they were going to go to court, and a judge was going to rule and say that they should not treat children that way.
Huntsville City Schools school district to spark integration has now seen its first black male superintendent in the summer of 2023.
I remember at the dedication of the historical marker that stands where Fifth Avenue School used to be, we had Dr. Ann Roy Moore, who was African-American female, of course, but I remember her talking about standing on the shoulders of those who came before, because obviously the school system had to be integrated before an African-American could be the superintendent of the school system. You know, we were helping people to have equal opportunity for education.
Wow, that's incredible, Mo. I know last year, Sonny Hereford and his family, they marked 60 years from that day where they integrated the schools in Huntsville.
Absolutely. You talk about such a brave soul, because remember, he was, what, 6 years old at that point in time. So you think about Sonny Hereford. Of course, I grew up in Louisiana, so we hear about Ruby Bridges. So I'm just glad to see everyone just really bridging the gap together and just showing what it took to be a very, very brave soul in the time to see desegregation, which was not that long ago.
It wasn't. 60 years, 70 years, Brown versus Board. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, everyone, we now take you over the bridge in Decatur, where history was laid the foundation with the empowerment of the next generation. Our very own Sedona Meadows spoke with 3 key women who are helping us shape the future and giving us a visit to the past. Here's a listen.
As you travel down the roads of Decatur, Alabama, the word historic plasters signs. Signs rooted in a foundation that's witness to the old town.
Turn me around, and we gonna keep on marching. Vine Street was Decatur's Wall Street. You could come down there and there was just black business everywhere.
When many others only witnessed the word historic.
Now when you go down, it's nothing.
Urban renewal has displaced a lot of the families, the neighbors that were there, and the old homes as well as businesses have been torn down.
And never really know what was here before.
If they do not know the history, it will repeat itself.
My mother's mantra was, if you don't know where you've been, you'll never know where you're going.
Frances Tate, Dorothy Gordon, and Peggy Allen Towns were all raised in Decatur and are board members of the organization celebrating early Old Town with art, also known as CIOTA.
We have children that have children, and we want them to know where they came from.
They've made it their mission to share the rich Black history that's around here. Many of that history helped fuel the rise of the civil rights movement, like the Scottsboro Boys trials, a case of 9 Black boys who were falsely accused of raping 2 white women aboard a train near Scottsboro, Alabama.
They were in Scottsboro for 12 days. They was tried and convicted, and they was going to lynch them. That's how they got moved to Decatur. The other 2.5, 3 years of trials happened here in Decatur.
But they're not just sharing this history. They're working to build off of it. Right here is the house Ruby Bates, one of the accusers, stayed in during these retrials. It's on Sycamore Street, and it will be a portion of a civil rights museum.
Our museum is going to consist of civil rights and social justice projects all over North Alabama in particular.
So we are renovating that house now, and then we're going to build a multi-million-dollar museum adjacent to, we'll connect the two together.
But that's just one block. Here on Church Street sits a home that's new to the neighborhood, but not new to the neighborhood's legacy. This is Judge James Horton's house, who was the presiding judge on the Scottsboro Boys trials in Decatur and overturned the verdict to execute them. CIOTA got his house moved on wheels from Greenbrier last year.
It was like a phoenix coming up across the bridge. And yes, we're here. Yes, we're here to make a difference.
And it will act as a legal learning center. Right now, the museum and Judge Horton's house are undergoing renovations.
This is a long-term project. It's not going to happen overnight.
But they say it'll be worth the wait.
Once they come through the museum, they will be so motivated and inspired, and they will want to go out in the world and change the world and make the world a better place.
So when you see the word historic, you'll know exactly what it means. For more on this story, please visit our website. Indicator, Sedona Meadows, Fox 54 News.
Thank you, Sedona. The Huntsville Historic Preservation Commission notes the city's history with markers placed at each landmark. This Black History Month, we look at a few dedicated to Black history. Our Ken McCoy has the story.
Huntsville's history includes Black history.
The Huntsville Historic Preservation Commission is a group of folks, and their primary job is to help with the regulation of the historic districts, our locally designated historic districts. Of those, we have 4, and that includes Twickenham, 5 Points, Old Town, and Normal Historic District. 3 of those are residential. Normal Historic District is located on the campus of Alabama A&M University, and then we actually have 10 historic districts total, which are listed to the National Register. So the Historic Commission does work within all of those districts, and one of those is helping identify other neighborhoods that are worthy of historic designation.
Our first stop this Black History Month, Old Georgia.
So there was Georgia Cemetery, and there is a historic marker on St. Clair Avenue. The location of it is adjacent to where there's currently a parking deck. So that was the first location where there were burials for African American people in Huntsville. And I think up until Glenwood Cemetery was designated as an official municipal cemetery specifically for Black residents to be buried there.
The date was 1870, when the city of Huntsville, following the purchase of 10 acres from the Benjamin W. Blake estate, originally part of the John Braun plantation. Additional land was added in 1875 from the W. Darwin family, resulting in the current site. Distinguished African Americans buried here include veterans, former slaves, politicians, and professionals of many fields. As to if there are still bodies buried in the Old Georgia Cemetery,
we don't know. I have never seen documentation that proves one way or another where, if the bodies were reinterred. I do know that at the time when the parking deck was built, I think around the 1980s, there had not been any burials recently for many years. It had been used as grazing land for animals and several other different things over the years. So I know that I'm guessing, and I'm not entirely 100% sure, but I would say once Glenwood was designated, that became the official burial space for Black residents in Huntsville.
Coming up, we visit another historical marker. For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
That's right. Thank you, Ken. And we're looking forward to it. Coming up, we show you another historical marker, all in the name of Black history.
This special Black History Month presentation, sponsored by Calhoun Community College, continues.
Welcome back, everyone. The urban renewal program started in the 1940s and was focused on slum clearance, leaving many disadvantaged families with 2 options: public housing or finding a new area to call home. Edmonton Heights was one of those neighborhoods African Americans called home, and our very own Kim McCoy has that story.
We continue our journey through historical markers to a neighborhood that shaped how other Black communities were formed here in Huntsville.
So Edmonton Heights is a historically Black residential district that's just located to the south of Alabama A&M University on Meridian Street. And we have gone through the process of surveying that neighborhood, and it was listed to the National Register of Historic Places as a historic district in 2021. And so we actually just celebrated with the neighborhood with their historic marker was unveiled this past November, in November of 2023. They have new street signs that have a graphic of, it's a representation of the house that Dr. Martin Luther King spent the night in when he came to Huntsville to give a speech at Oakwood University. And so because at the time Huntsville was still segregated, so he was not able to stay in a hotel or a motel, so he spent the night at Reverend Ezekiel Bell's house. And so that was located at 101 Whitney Avenue. Unfortunately, that house was demolished several years ago, so we thought it would be a good way to honor that part of the neighborhood's history by having that graphic on the street signs.
Historical markers are in part primarily based on the architectural structure of the area, but in doing that research, you see how important the people were to the story.
And I would say we don't really have any other like architectural styles that match what you find in Edmonton Heights, so it's kind of its own unique thing. And then also for myself, I learned more about how Edmonton Heights even was developed in the first place. It was platted in 1958, and so all the houses date after that. I think they started construction around 1959, 1958. And we realized by doing research that this neighborhood was specifically advertised to African American citizens. At the time, it was located outside of the Huntsville city limits because African Americans were not allowed to, they did not have the ability to own property within the city limits. And so this was also happening at a time during the urban renewal program. And so the urban renewal was something that was happening all over the country. Huntsville was not immune to that. So we had a lot of urban neighborhoods that were being demolished. A lot of those urban neighborhoods were African American neighborhoods that were being demolished. And so the connection that Edmonton Heights has to that story, the majority of the individuals that were living in these neighborhoods that were being torn down, and they had two options. We have found a newspaper article. They had a woman standing with her hands out. A picture was of you could live and own your own home in Edmonton Heights, or you can live in public housing. And so those were kind of the options that these people were given. And so the reason why that neighborhood developed is very much connected to urban renewal. So I personally learned so much about the development of Huntsville and why we have the Black community is primarily, living or at least developed in the mid-20th century, were pushed into the North Huntsville area. So that was, I found that just, that history has always been known, but I don't feel like we've done as much as we could in the past as far as recognizing that history. And so that's something that the city of Huntsville is really trying to do more of, is telling the full story of all of our citizens here in Huntsville.
For Fox 54 News, I'm Ken McCoy.
All right, thanks, Ken. One barber in Athens is blazing the trail, taking his business a cut above like never before. We've got a look behind the clippers.
This special Black History Month presentation, sponsored by Calhoun Community College, continues.
And welcome back, everyone. The Barbershop, a safe space and often a place of therapy for Black men in their community. Our Jasmine Bird shows us where it all started for one Black barber making history and breaking barriers in the city of Athens.
As a barber, you see the realness in your chair.
Meet Tito Reedus, owner of Reedus Barbershop. Reedus has been a barber in the Athens community since 1991.
Well, it goes a little ways back. After graduation, I was working, and a friend of mine happened to be at the barbershop. Stopped by and to talk to the guy that owned the shop, which the owner at that time was Mr. Walter Malone. So never knew that this was going to be the start of my future.
And this is where it all started.
I was 19 years old when this all started about. And my journey started here, which the building belonged to Walter Malone. He's deceased now, but the building still stands to this day.
Reedus was there from 1991 until 1994. After that, he moved to another location,
which is 908 West Washington Street. And we stayed here from 94 to 2001.
After that, Reedus desired a location of his own.
So in 2002, I purchased this spot here which sits at 842 Westview Avenue. I sits on 2 acres of land, and this house was along with the 2 acres. I renovated the house. And we cut in the house from 2002 to 2007.
And in June of 2007, construction began on Reedus' new building, which he currently owns and cuts hair in today.
And God did a great thing. So this is the new building that was built at 842 Westview Avenue, which now house, which I own. The building house 3 units, which is 1,800 square feet per unit. All-in-one laundry, Reedus Barbershop, and it'll be now. It's in the making of the event center, which will be all-in-one plaza event center.
Reedus believes this is just all a part of his purpose.
I believe that's why God had me in here for this position, to be able to talk to people. I talk to many.
Right next door, Reedus' all-in-one laundry is also a fully attended laundromat.
I staff 3 workers, 1 full-time, with benefits. No other laundromat in Athens does that.
And as for the new first Black-owned Athens Event Center he currently has in the works.
This will maybe be the 2nd event center that's around in the community, but this was actually be owned by me. It would allow for little birthday parties and dinners and things in that nature, so it'll be very helpful for this community.
In Athens, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
And of course, barbershops are always just great places that I've always enjoyed being in. Of course, it serves as therapy, but also from a historical standpoint, they've always just been a place of renaissance and a place to just make you feel good. And I'm also reminded of beauty salons because of my great aunt, Dr. Katie Wickham. There you see her right there. She was a world-renowned beautician, graduated from Xavier, and also studied at the Orchard School of Beauty in Europe.
Wow.
Along with everything else that she did, she also was a civil rights pioneer, an NAACP officer in the city of New Orleans. And of course, she was named one of every magazine's most influential Black Americans. Met with Dr. King.
Wow.
And on top of that, Keneisha, they always just found ways to meet at the barbershops and beauty salons for secret meetings.
Yes, I mean, barbershops, beauty salons, they are both a community. They really are a community where people meet for more than just getting their hair done and looking good. And I'll say, I myself go to the beauty salon every 2 or so weeks. So yes, it is a community.
Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we'll take you back over to Athens and introduce you to a family who's been in a business for a very long time while helping other families through tough times.
This special Black History Month presentation, sponsored by Calhoun Community College, continues.
Many people don't encounter funeral homes or directors until the death of a loved one. And according to the National Funeral Directors Association, funeral homes are vital businesses that contribute to our nation in ways both seen and unseen. The People's Funeral Home in Athens has served the community for nearly 60 years. Our Jasmine Bird tells us how it all started.
The People's Funeral Home was established in May 1965 at 913 Browns Ferry Street in Athens. Then in August of 1993, it relocated to the People's Funeral Home of North Alabama, which is what you see behind me, where we are right here today. So let's take a step inside to learn more about the history of how it all started.
People's Funeral Home started through the conversation of Mr. Max Allen, that was the owner of Oaks Funeral Home here in Athens. And he approached the 4 gentlemen that's on the board there.
Homer Moses, Bennett Higgins, Herbert Ward, and Charles Nichols. Meet People's Funeral Home co-owner Shirley Higgins, the wife of the late Bennett Higgins, here to tell the story today.
So that was a real estate man by the name of Mr. King. I don't recall his first name, but he was in real estate. And he knew this building was getting ready to vacate, to be for some, because they were going to sell it. The Mormons were the owner of this building, and they wanted to come closer to the city in order to make it more easy for the members to come to church and to gain more members. And he came to my husband and told him about this building. And my husband got with the other partners, and they came down, and we worked with the Mormons, and of course they sold it to us.
And when they purchased this building from the Mormons, no longer in the heart of Athens, distance was the #1 concern.
But some way, we did not lose the families that we had on Browns Ferry. They came with us here. And we still have families that started with us on Browns Ferry. They're still with us.
After learning how it all started, we sat down to discuss what's next for People's Funeral Home.
I taught 38 years. So, and then here, I think it's time for me to rest and let the young people move on. But I will be supporting and helping and pushing and here for them.
And Higgins leaves only one request for those left to carry on the legacy.
50 years from now, hopefully, People's Funeral Home will still be here. And somebody will be able to go back and look at the beginning and bring it up to that point. And that's joy. And that's a blessing.
In Athens, Jasmine Bird, Fox 54 News.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. It really takes a lot to gain the trust of a community, and they've been able to do it for 60 years.
Correct. And you can think about it, a lot of long-term black businesses, among the oldest ones are the funeral homes and the funeral directors, because at the same time, at the end of the day, you always need a place to honor the legacy of your loved ones and bury your dead.
Right. I know in the past we've done a story on the Royal Funeral Home.
Oldest black business in the city of Huntsville.
Yes.
All right, we hope you enjoyed our Black History Month special right here on Fox 54 and learned a thing or two.
Well, Mo, I learned a lot. And remember, you can catch all of these stories on fox54.com. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Thanks for watching this special Black History Month presentation, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.